Frantic candies, costumed with all the other eager kids, we trick-or-treated along our street. And just like them, we felt assured our empty bags would fill with sweets. A short walk up our lane and back, and my little sister yearned for home, where covens cloaked knocked at our door, their greedy clutches overwhelming Mom. She snatched our bags of candies, which into the plundered bowl she poured, then sent me out to beg for more, 'cause shops had closed against the hungry horde. Trolling up and down the side streets, at last my bag was almost bursting. With worried thoughts, I scurried homeward, imagining Mom desperately waiting. Dad helped me pour my plunder into that yawning porcelain maw. Then I resumed my whiter scabbage to stuff that mob's insatiable craw. In darkness thick, I ventured further, left behind my well-known streets, with those who'd seen my costume often and refused to give me any more treats. My concern for Mom had drawn me to places such I felt I'd gone awry, where trees gossiped in muzzled tones and the moon's face hid behind the sky. As porch lights nodded, then blanked out, deserted streets grew oddly still. Foot-weary tykes were sent to sleep, while around me crept an eerie chill. In the deep abandoned silence, I shuddered, suddenly much alone. Although my bag was not yet heavy, my feet fled homeward on their own. That's the ghost. At last I saw our darkened house. "It's me," I called, in great relief. I realized it was fearfully late when two contrite faces welcomed me.
All right.
As if that would ever happen. This poem was published on Monday in Spillwords. Goblins, scary reasons. We are the ghosts and goblins who around your brain still creep. We manifest in daylight as well as when you sleep. We hide among your feelings. In memories we burst full and bob along the ceiling, wafting pale as an old skull, with eyeballs sorely bloodshot and fingers long and sleek. We hover as you shudder and through the shadows peek. Your shrink says we aren't real, but how would they ever know when it takes imagination to see our viridescent glow? We hide among your feelings in memories bursting full and bob along the ceiling, wafting pale as an old skull. Now you may want to query what makes us do this ill. Why must we frighten people? Why do we seek this thrill? Once we were fully bodied and lived upon this earth. Like other happy children, we giggled in our mirth. But our parents feared the evil of our trick-or-treating ways and forbade us wearing costumes of ghouls and ghosts always. So now we spend eternity scaring kindly human folk, 'cause we just pine for outfits like Batman with his cloak. Thank you.
I have just a pair of poems. One's kind of just more of a fun, silly protest song, and then the other one's a little bit more from the heart. This first one's called Pretendians. You are an Indian lover. Your turquoise jewelry tells me so. Big, blue, polished stones set in silver. A three-dimensional dream catcher hangs from your rear-view mirror, or ears, source of fender benders and lawsuits. Can I get this with fringes, you often ask, and moccasins that read, made in China? The painting of a shirtless man and a wolf and a moon hangs on your wall. Traditional artwork, you say. Spirit of the wolf in italics. You learn about Indians in school, and you feel like one. You want to be one. Your hashtag game is strong, like bear. Your followers are as bountiful as wild rice in August heat, but still, you voted for the guy who promised to clean those people out of the park. Your favorite novel is 3 Day Road. However, Leslie Marmon Silko, never heard of her. Snagging the guy at a party no one else will touch just because he has braids. You've seen Tom Jackson on 3 separate occasions, and that woman from north of 60. Not the cop, but the other one, watching APTN, laughing and eating gourmet heirloom popcorn. You make it a point to tell folks you saw a Tribe Called Red back when they were still thumping their first electric powwows. And yet, rolling at their latest show, you were the one asking the clueless kid if you could feel his long, long brown hair. You've been to a sweat before, run by a swarthy man who drives a Datsun, charging $79.95 for the afternoon. Someone once gave you a Blackfoot name, told you it meant bullhorn, when really it translates as bull turd. Your round dance is rigid and stiff like a lame horse, teetering sideways before it falls. But in the end, you aren't pretending at all, because when grant writing season comes along, you check the box with vigor and announce to everyone your grandmother was 127th Cherokee. Okay, this next one, I guess it's dedicated to my late uncle, John, it was his birthday a week or two ago. Let me just find it. Okay. This one's called For John. We run through fire at night, scarring our legs like elk-ravaged tree trunks. Our uncle laughs, circles far side, flames between us, his face orange and wet-looking. He's the only man around here who doesn't get violent when he drinks, just sad. When he leaves for treatment, people are hopeful. Hopeful the way people pray for no rain on soggy days. He rides the bus up north, not even a magazine, wondering, will the trees have something to say about sobriety? We went to his house for breakfast every weekend when we were little. Those mornings, we learned Pepper really does put hair on our chests. Or sometimes he sent his daughter to our house at midnight, a cup of sugar for Kool-Aid, a cup of flour for Bannock. He is a leader, he is a coach, the fastest man in a pair of skates, the strongest man we know, father, uncle, brother. But we remember the night we slipped and fell, the sparks nebulae, embers and flames lick our shins. Uncle picks us up by the scruff of our jackets, wiping burned skin like dust at the rodeo grounds. He smiles, saying, we all have to be tough sometimes. And that's it. Thanks, everyone.
Are you guys ready to get silly again? Sure. All right. Okay, I need props for this level of silly. Okay. All right, I'm going to share some pictures, okay, of kind of who's involved in this poem. It's actually going to be kind of lyrics for a song. Okay, so it's written from the viewpoint of Mateo. Mateo is a dog. He's my son's dog, and he's a blue heeler, okay? So they're a mix of an Australian cattle dog and a wild Australian dingo. And they have a lot of herding ability. They're used for herding cattle, and we were hoping that he'd like goats. We have goats on our farm, and this is very new to me, very new. I didn't realize what a learning curve it is to have goats. Okay, so you have to learn a whole new language to have goats, basically. You know, like you hear that stallions, when they're neutered, they're called a gelding, right? When cows are neutered, they're called a steer, right? So when bulls are neutered, they're called a steer. When goats are neutered, they change from being a buck to being a wether. So now you've got to try to figure out what wether people are talking about. Whether they're talking about the climate weather or they're talking about the goat weather, right? So you go on websites and you're like, they're asking you, do you have weather? Like, why do I need a weather? What's a weather? Apparently the weather is helpful for keeping your buck company, because you don't want your buck with the females all the time, or you've got absolute chaos constantly. But if you have a buck with another buck, they fight constantly, and the noise is insane. So you need a neutered goat to keep him company, right? So that's how we got him. So our females, the does, are all named after trees and plants. The males are named after vehicles. Okay, so we have Dodge, who's our buck, and he's the one that creates kids. This is Ford, because Ford's parts don't work. Okay, so now that you have the background and you understand weather and Ford and all that, and you have the names, now you'll understand what Teo, the blue heeler, is talking about in the poem, okay? So my son and I decided to take the dog and the weather for a walk one day through our little town. We live in Colehurst, and they have a nice little bakery there, and we figured we'd just take the two of them for a walk, right? Because Dodge was busy with the females, and so poor Ford had nothing better to do but go for a joyride in town to the bakery. So this is about that day. Okay. We got back from this and decided to turn it into a riff and a bit of a beat, okay? So this is Teo, all right? This isn't me, this is Teo. Oh, I have me a master, he treats me all right, except he got me castrated to tame my wild appetite. I healed well for my owner to the bakery in town. I still got my boner 'cause I'm a pastry hound. I did tricks for fresh donuts and warm cherry strudels. Then I chased village cats, flirted 2 bassets, 1 poodle. My wild dingo heels are never blue. My master has a cool mom, oh yeah, she bought me some goats, so I could work out the trauma of never sowing my oats. I round up goat kids and I herd those goat does. That buck sure does stink, but I'll still bite his toes. But once I met Ford, I knew he was my jam. My dingo heart soared for this hot weather man. Oh yeah, I really dug this kindred dude. Mama bought Ford a collar, it matched perfect with mine. Master whistled and hollered, said we looked mighty fine. I think Ford turned red from his horns to his hooves. We turned every head with our moves and our grooves. We ate jelly donuts and warm cherry strudels. Then Ford grew jealous of my 2 bassets, 1 poodle. My wild dingo ways had turned him blue. I strutted up to a hydrant just to mark it with pee. When butted hard by this tyrant, Ford knocked the breath out of me. I could barely believe how my weather had changed. I begged him, please don't you leave me, you're just my kind of deranged. Your love really hurts, but I like it rough. Your parts may not work, but you're built for tough. You turn my wild dingo side true blue.
a COVID poem. Back when they thought it was just another version of swine flu. Here's mud in your eye, said the hog in the sty. Wish me luck, said the hog in the truck. Till we meet again, said the hog in the pen. I don't get the joke, said the pig in the poke. That's one nasty cough, said the pig at the trough. This one's for you, said the pig with the flu. Everything will be fine, said the pig on the line. Don't take it so badly, said the swine jihadi. It's simply tit for tat. If it wasn't for us, it'd be the chickens or the rats. But to be quite honest, we weren't expecting bats. Just a happy little poem. Okay, this is a nostalgic poem, I guess. It's called At the End of the Lane. At the end of the lane, the gate's wired shut. Anyone who comes in here comes on foot, though would have business here. There's no one in that house, no one that belonged there in over 30 years. It never was the best of roads, even when it led somewhere. The 3 dead crows hanging head down by the gate make poor trophies and give no warning. To men and crows do not equate. Though to the ceaseless flies that congregate around the dead, there's no distinction. Dead is dead. That brooks no contradiction. The rest is merely words to see us through the night. But against the mocking fact of flies and birds, the dead flat eye, there's nothing mirrored. Still, after all these years, I know this place. I know these fields if there weren't a trace of farm or track or fence. Some things you don't forget. No past nor present tense. An innate, bone-deep sense of place, the way the wind combs the long grass across the flank of the hill, the way clouds pass over the house and spread, rank flowers in tangled beds, climbing roses holding up the shed. The place has changed. That's no surprise. Looking with a stranger's eyes, the place is smaller, shrunken in upon itself. The kitchen garden's fallen back to grass. The broken fence is almost down. Take away the weeds that hold it up and it would fall. The seeds of this place's ruin were always there. Sheer bloody-minded stubbornness. It was pure stiff-necked pride that you were building on. There's more rock in that pasture than grass. Geology does not nurture life. Life scrabbles in the cracks and the uncaring stone dies and seeds again in its own mold. Memory is all we have, and memory does not hold. I remember watching your long shadow, and I remember how the field seemed to glow until the light was gone and your shadow was lost. Although the house light still shone out across the yard, casting light on the flower beds beside the front porch steps. At times, those roses seemed to float on depths of night like smoldering coals, like a black dog's eyes, intent and secretive, glowering out of the rank weeds flowering along the ditches, caught in the headlights for an instant, then sinking back into the night. Still, it's strange what survives. Roses, rank and tangled, outlasting human lives, outliving husbands, wives, outliving memories. I hadn't, until I started reading that, realized just what a really, really optimistic poem that is.
I'm going to start with a poem that I wrote a couple of years ago. And so it's actually very special to me. It's in honor of Charlene. She was a dear, dear friend all through university. And I start with an epigraph from Mary Oliver saying, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Charlene, my oldest friend, died 1 week ago, collapsed suddenly, and died on the way to the emergency room. She's younger than I, now forever frozen at 60 years old, leaving 2 young adult children and a husband disabled with Parkinson's. There's a huge message for me underneath her family's tragedy. And it's, if not now, then when? I cannot put off what I'm called to do or to be, what I so deeply want to do or to be, until the time magically arrives with that announcement that now, finally, I can live my life as called. My cynical self says, so who's doing the calling? Does doing what I want to do even matter in the greater scheme of things? But dear self, what doesn't matter is who might be doing the calling, or even if I'm making it all up, because whose life is it anyway? I know my soul wants, I know my soul is calling through my friend, through my life, through the deaths all around me, and I will answer. Thank you. When I first moved to Southern Alberta, having lived in big cities in the States and in Canada all my life previous, I was a little shocked, shall I say, by the politics of the area. So here's Magpie. When I first moved to this area of the world, I saw for the first time big black and white birds, noisy too, kind of like ravens. My new neighbor's opinion seemed to match the new birds too, black and white and noisy. But one day the sun shone on those birds' feathers and suddenly flamed out iridescent blue, iridescent purple, beautiful, surprising, and intriguing. Now, looking at my neighbors, I can often see when I squint my eye just right, not only the black and white, but the stunning colors just underneath the obvious stereotypes. Thank you, dear Magpie, for reminding me to look more closely, to look more deeply, to listen more carefully, and to find the beauty surrounding me, even here. Thank you.
The first 2 I'm going to read are kind of part of like this new collection I've been creating, where I take pieces of really dark poems that I kind of wrote during harder times that were unfinished, and then I finished them off in a more positive mindset. So this first one is called Drowning. I keep swimming, but I never, sorry, I'll restart that. I'm drowning. I keep swimming, but I never surface. I see the light breaking through the water, but it is always just beyond my reach. I can't breathe. I see darkness scattered with stars dancing across my vision. Something tugs me back under. I know how to swim, but I cannot reach the surface. My body aches and my lungs give out. Do I succumb to this void? Perhaps this darkness is not so cruel as it seems. Perhaps my true captor was the surface, and this ocean will set me free. Perhaps it is time to stop running and to sink into this truth at last. Well, that's the first one. Thanks. The second one is called Trust. I waited for a reason to not surrender this fight and to not let the darkness claim me. But no reason came, and I was worn thin, so I lay down my sword and accepted the end. I lost my faith in the one, but the one never lost faith in me. I was called by the grass and trees and the birds and deer. I heard the song on the wind as it swept across my cold cheeks. It was time to lay down my sword, but it was not time for the end. The darkness was not the enemy, not something to be battled, rather new territory to explore, daunting as it may be. I stepped into the darkness hand in hand with my sustainer, a beacon of light on my journey. Where this path will take me, I am not sure, but I keep walking toward the light, no longer at war with the unknown, but embracing it, for I do not face this journey alone. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I just wanted to say thank you to Teri, thank you to the Owl for giving me this platform to share my writing. I am new to poetry. I just started writing last year during the pandemic, and I haven't been able to perform or share like this, so this is my first time reading an original poem in front of an audience. So I want to say thank you so much for giving me this time, and I hope you enjoy. So the first poem I've got for you is called October Thoughts. In my brown eyes, there's an ocean of wonder. If you stare deep enough, you can see the golden thunder of knowledge and question, of learning and truth. I am a subject of this time, both burdened and freed by my youth. There's something in the air. It makes me want to cry, not of sadness or grief, but of a yearning to flap my wings and fly. There's something beyond, far away from these systems of self. I can feel the warmth of its light, inviting me to step into its realm. The second piece is called Imaginary Dreams. The sun continues to rise. The rain continues to fall. The wind continues to blow and the stars continue to glow. Time continues to tick and the world continues to spin. Now imagine this. You continue to live with not a care to give. You are finally in a happy stage. You and your lover are on the same page. Your career has taken off. You live in a luxurious loft. Your brain is worry-free. You know you hold the key. Your happiness has been unlocked. Here you are, continuing to live. Here you are, with not a care to give. You have reached the final stage. You and the universe are on the same page. Time continues to tick, and the world continues to spin. Life goes on, and you feel in your heart, I win. Thank you.
With the one that I had last night, I was just like thinking about all my trauma, and this just came about, so it's called Still a Virgin. I wish I was still a virgin, my innocent impurity. I wish I was still a virgin so I can make that first time mean something. Sex for me isn't fun, it's a coping mechanism to heal what those ruined when they took my first time. Put so many that I want to do. My next one is called Where I'm From. The prompt was to say where you're from, but you're not allowed to say it, like your city or whatever. So here's mine. Hi, my name's Alex. I'm from a single mother, addiction takeovers. I'm from screaming matches, quiet lies, lonely people, just wanting to be loved. Empty bottles of booze, I'm from broken doors, tear-stained eyes. Daily coffee runs, I'm from night shifts, bruised palms. I'm from Pokemon and DS days. Morning tea, shattered glass. I'm from absent dad, no money, breast cancer, pain, pain, pain. I'm from suicide attempts, the last hope my grandma had. I'm from stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. I'm from choir concert, loud music. I'm from one more drink won't hurt. Divorce, bruised lips. I'm from I wasn't supposed to make it this long.
The sun's burning light etched a smile into my lips, a radiance beyond comprehension. Each day, each moment, the sun was my guide upon the vast clear skies, its endless guiding light spread wide and far. Yet lying here listlessly in the light of the full moon among the spider lilies, I don't miss the sun at all. My gaze traces the bright outline of each cloud in the night sky, rolling past this sea of resting red where I lie awake. The sun and I are incompatible. I cannot help but shield my eyes from such a burning light. It planted a smile on my lips, where sprouting contortions grew, not allowed to rot or decay. A fallen angel cannot return to its heavenly home. Denounce my actions as eternal sin if you so wish. But within the mirror, I see no gruesome demon. No matter how much I stare, I cannot find anything sinister. For how much longer do I have to look? The sun is an immanent artist. It paints the sky in halcyon, not a color, but a lens, to perceive sweet words and grand promises, dribbling into your ears like candle wax. Wings may sprout beneath my feet, but none are capable of carrying my weight into the clear skies beyond. All I ever really did was slip between the feathers, scraping them with each nail, leaving open wounds for the sun to soak in, until at last I learned to stop trying. The wings can ascend without me. Let me slip, let me fall. Let this suspended smile decompose upon my lips. Let everything decay, leaving me behind to dance in this slumbering field where the lilies smell of sonder, and the sun's judgmental light can no longer invade the blooming of the world. A demon can never reach the shiny gates of heaven, but I am neither demon nor angel. Denounce my actions as eternal sin if you so desire. But no tethered grasp can ever reach far enough to accuse me of wrongdoing. Each roll of fate's die occurs in its own time. And even if a hand from above or below could change every roll into a 1, I would force each roll into a 6. This is the path I chose, and I'm not going back.
Well, I came with Bev tonight, and she said she came disguised as a witch, and I came disguised as an old lady. But this first poem, I think, is going to belie what I say. I wrote this poem just after the Queen died. It's just called Elizabeth. It was a bitterly cold October day, but nonetheless, my father took me on a streetcar ride downtown for a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Princess Elizabeth and her husband Philip were coming to town. I was 4. I was dressed for winter and so proud of the little white muff hanging on a cord around my neck. It was furry soft, and with my hands tucked into it, I was perfectly warm. My father lifted me onto a flat-topped green postal box where I had an excellent view, even though in memory's eye it was snowing. And suddenly the royal car was coming down the road and quickly passing by, but I swear I made eye contact with the smiling young woman we'd come to see. Perhaps she commented on the little girl with the white muff standing so high in the crowd. And then, just a few months later, the princess was queen, and we mourned the death of her beloved father. On that sad day, my father phoned home to tell my mother the news. She burst into tears. My little brother grabbed a tea towel, saying, "Don't cry, Mummy, dry your eyes." He was too young to understand, but I wasn't. I was nearly 5. My mother's words came deep from her heart as she sobbed, "That poor girl," referring to our new queen. And now we've seen the ending of her 70 years long reign. We've shared the sorrow of millions. We've seen her grief-filled family. We've watched her eldest son proclaimed as king. And I still recall with clarity the princess I saw when I was wearing my fluffy white muff. Thank you. Next two are a couple that kind of belong together. They share a similar theme. This one's called October's Wisdom. Summer this year was brutal, and even now, oops, my phone's gone off. Yep. Summer this year was brutal, and even now in transient October, it's unseasonably hot. Yet these fall days still gladden the eye with ever-changing, colorful display, telling us the dying process is a part of life, and even comes with its own beauty if we can but see. As the last leaf drops and this small part of earth has turned to muted browns and all the shades of gray and even blanket white, there is a wisdom being shared if we can let ourselves acknowledge it. Wait, it says. Take shelter and repose. Nurture yourself in the dark, cold days ahead, and wait in faith that yet again new life will come from what may have seemed to you to be an ending.
It's good to be back. One old one and one new one. Because I wasn't born and raised in Canada, I didn't really dig the Halloween until I moved here. I still don't dig it. I still don't know why adult people put on costumes, but that's okay. But the new poem that I wrote today somehow has a witchcraft element and kind of relates to, what Bev started us off with. And then I chose an old one that I'm going to read first that is kind of related to the new one. So the old one is called Dosage. And Ryan, there is no swearing in either of the two poems, surprisingly.
Surprise, surprise.
I really tried, but I couldn't put it, there was just, Anyway, Dosage. One thing I mustn't do is have too much of you. My urge, I have to fight and take you bite by bite. Focus and savor you for hours, despite the will to devour. I have to be restrictive. Your sweetness is addictive. No matter the prep technique, you remain allergenic. What does your succulent thickness hide? Your pricks are on the inside. Before I lose the aftertaste, in my bowels, you already germinate. As I lay poisoned, my cause is lost, while you move on to another host. So the next one I titled after I wrote the poem. There is a pub in Bridgeland in Calgary called Cannibal that I did stuff at a long time ago. And then the other day I was walking by and I was like, oh yeah, this pub is still here. So this poem has nothing to do with the pub, but it has to do with cannibalism. So it's called Cannibal. Come closer. Allow me to inhale you. I remember this scent, a scent of memory, desire, misunderstanding, escape, unfinished business. Stand under the light. Let me look you in the eye. Familiar is this glow, a glow of inquiry, tease, expectation, naughtiness, eventually satisfaction. Open your palms, please. I've seen lines like these before. I've experienced similar fingertips. Tickle, then trace, then burn, then cool my skin. Take your shirt off. The swirl of your body hair, I've played with those before. That glistening sweat, I've tasted more than once. Elastic, tasty flesh like yours, I've been known to devour. Not much one can do with only bones left. So turn your back on me. Don't listen to my words anymore. Hear the yearning of another and walk towards it. Away from me is a much safer direction, especially if you care to survive the experience. Here, don't forget your shirt. Thank you.
I got an older one here I read before, like a long time ago. And yeah, kind of goes like this. Is Leonard Cohen's scrotum soft as mine? Poetry has crept into the night, but I do not know what to write. I wish I had a light bright. That would be dynamite. Is Leonard Cohen's scrotum soft as mine? Who knows? Who cares? Where to go now? What to do now? I was aiming for structure, but it fell apart. A little bit over there, a little bit over here, like a house of cards in a gentle breeze. Overhead flies the vultures with their funny necks, which coincidentally look like scrotums. Hey, Natalie, wherever you are, do you remember the Scrotum song? I used to sing it to you when you were about to turn slightly blue. And in saying that, where do you think Chicken is now, our faithful rubber mascot, whom you tossed over the electric fence? Maybe some other city workers will find him and give him as much love as our crew did. I still have videos of him and us and our adventures, and if and when I relaunch my website, I'll post them again. Comedy never goes out of style. Well, I guess I'll take it back. In some places it does. But why take things so seriously? Life is too short for that. It's 4:32 a.m. My ass is sore. My sit bones feel like they'll push through my flesh, leaving me an amputee. I guess I'll end this here. I dread what health problems lay down the road. This body has taken extensive damage. Oh, and in case you forgot, is Leonard Cohen's scrotum soft as mine? This is another old one. It's called Grandma's Little Shack. Been a long time since I've been home. Been a long time since I've been to Grandma's Little Shack. I can still remember it, standing alone on the tundra, sort of like a lighthouse with its beacon there to guide weary sailors safely to shore After a long time out at sea, which in our case was a magnificent lake, emerald in color, the way the Hudson Bay blankets were colored that I slept in and on while in Grandma's little shack. In the mornings when I'd wake, I'd be greeted by the old wood fire stove that usually had some fresh bannock and some kind of clear water fish waiting to be consumed by the child who should have known how to do such a simple task, but being brought up in the so-called civilized ways, didn't. A woman well beyond her prime had to fend for this youngster who was uneducated by her standards. But in time, I learned some of them while in Grandma's little shack. I can faintly remember her telling me of legends that have long since been forgotten by everyone but her. And when her time comes, a part of our heritage will die, along with her shack that she and her husband built with their own hands. From a distance, Grandma's little shack doesn't look like anything special, but if you knew the old woman who lived inside it, you'd say it was. There's so much more I'd like to say, but it's been a long time since I've been home, and even longer since I've been to Grandma's little shack.
Now this one, it's technically complete, but I still feel like something's a little off with it, so I don't know, might be open to criticism later, but all right, so here it goes. It's untitled. Against the backdrop of a silver-tinged sky, the rapidly spinning snowflakes look like drops of obsidian. Suddenly, they begin to outnumber the clouds above, clumping together to form a curtain of nothing around everything, insulating the forest from the I shouldn't have written this because I don't know how to say it. The cacophony of howling winds that surely must still be raging outside, but it is not. The birds choke on their songs as points of light rip through the threads of the void. Outer space has disrespected Earth's personal space, and all the animals huddle together, no ancestral instincts to advise them through such an unprecedented collapse. I make my stand, ready to protest on their behalf, but all my words dissolve when the constellations implode, blinding white waves colliding into one unbroken sea. Gravity flings us towards its depths, and the growing thrum of the tide slowly deafens the maddening song of panicking animals around me. The impact flattens my lungs, dulls the feeling in my legs. Through the screen of bubbles, I see ribbons of fur and feathers twist back into the surface as my former friends embrace their new forms. Wolves into dolphins, wildcats into sharks, birds into fish, deer and elk into seals and whales. They fly across the currents without effort, whistling their joy as they leave me to sink into the dark. Long after I've given up fighting the pull of colder water, the subtle blues slowly overtake the gray, and suddenly breathing doesn't hurt anymore. New oxygen restores withered cells. So with renewed muscles, I paddle towards what my disoriented mind thinks is the surface, but it is not. Excuse me. The bottom of the ocean leaks into the borderlands of the atmosphere, and I fall into electric blue cosmos. Lost all over again, I want to cry in despair, but my voice dissolves when I notice the fringe of a nebula, glowing in purple and indigo, split into webs of lightning. Through the emptiness in between, you emerge. A ghost of fresh air, the cloak of mist you wear tries and fails to conceal the intensity of your stare. Shaded with careful judgment one moment, aglow with empathy the next. You're the one and only puzzle I cared to solve. Inexplicably, the wind suddenly twists itself into a cyclone, and you clutch my wrists with phantom hands, showing me how to sway in time with its currents. We dance across the nebula without effort, gathering momentum before you let go. I glide through the loft of the clouds, spinning for the thrill of it. Breaking through to open space, I am face to face with the wavering aurora overhead. And once I choose to stop and watch in awe, I cry out in joy for the realization that I am in control of my flight at last. The galactic ocean is at my fingertips. But without the music of your voice, this galaxy is deafening in terrifying silence. Without your presence, the loneliness within is heavier than the pressure on the ocean floor. As I explain these reasons for my return, your face tries and fails to hide that those same reasons are why you sheltered in the distracting atmosphere of a garden of stars. Allow me to be your anchor as you sail across the uncertain emptiness. Let me be the constant in your life of turmoil, the one thing that solar flares can't burn away. Allow me to unravel that cloak of mist and instead warm you with the body that you plucked out of limbo, with a soul that you shocked back into consciousness. Together, we fly unconstrained and unafraid, the joy in our music shattering the apathetic silence beyond repair. That's it.
This is the Halloween toast. When the flaming light colors of the summer are done, autumn tones and snowfall are clashing it out, not aligned by date, but she's on the cusp of seasons change, or so it seems, the all things in between. Welcome the darkness and mystery. All hail the intrigue of Halloween, where that of fright congregate, meet and devise, where we embrace the darkness and all that is spooky in folklore and tales are emphasized. Long live this celebration of the creatures of the night. Long lived this celebration of the magical, supernatural, ritual spellcaster, or whatever witchy craft grabs you. Harness this power, this date, this hour, of the vampires, witches, ghouls, and ghosts, the obscene, for the grave risers, boogie monsters, for the wolverine. To eager-eared listeners, now raise your silver glass. Hurrah to this 31st day of October, this rowdiness invoker, this day that's anything but mediocre. The abyss gleams. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Thank you. This one's called Black Cat. It's fairly new, it's very short. It'll be a song someday, but it goes like this. Black cat, your reputation is shat, but I never believed it. I never conceived it. Ill tides, they will rise at your sight. Perpetualized is this notion, you are a bad omen, said to bring gloom and dark doom. If one crosses your path, all fortune consumed, but I never believed it. I never conceived it. Black cat, why did they name you a hazmat? How did this, Black cat, why did they name you a hazmat? How did the superstition ignite? Why did they name you a blight? Black cat. Thank you.
Tonight, I am going to read 2 poems. They're short. So the first one is about a buck that keeps coming to my backyard. And we're kind of becoming friends at this point. If you watch Frozen, the Disney movie, it's my personal Sven. So here he goes. I ran into you, and you caught me off guard. You also stood up on guard. You were within my fences. I didn't expect to see you there. I said a few words, hoping you would walk. I was scared that if I got too close, you would attack. But you got curious and relaxed, even sat down and made yourself comfortable. I tried to make some noise, threw some rocks, rattled the fence. I even got someone to help me to gently scare you away. But you were calm and gave us some space, quietly went on a stroll as if we were friends. We moved some things to the corner of the fence where you took up space to create a barrier, hoping you wouldn't come back. Brave buck, you left me curious. Among your kind, you are a king. Your gentleness left me feeling safe. I miss your presence, secretly hoping you visit me again. Maybe we can sit side by side this time. I can have my coffee and you your leaves. Share a word or two and maybe some laughs too. You made me realize sometimes we fear things that are new. You showed me that we don't always have to. Thank you. The next one is called Call to Freedom, and this is to stand in solidarity with the women in Iran. Dear sister, I fall for you, I fall for you, because violence against you is violence against all women. Dear sister, I fall for you, I fall for you, because violence against us is violence against the divine feminine. Dear sister, I fall for you, I fall for you, because you bring life to our nations, yet you are kept from your rights and freedoms. Dear sister, I fall for you, I fall for you, because you and your children deserve to live free from oppression. Dear sister, I fall for you, I fall for you, because I hear your cry, I see you. Dear sister, I fall for you, I fall for you, and in your rising, I stand in solidarity with you. Dear sister, I fall for you, I fall for you, because your freedom is our freedom. Dear sister, I fall for you, I fall for you, because our world's liberty resides in your dignity. Dear sister, I fall for you, I fall for you, because you are the darkness before our dawn. Dear sister, just remember, I'm singing with you, women, life, freedom, women, life, freedom. This is our time, this is our revolution. Thank you.
I only have one, because that's what I've wrote. But I'll conform forget my train of thought, but I'll carry on. I have traveled to the edges of my inner monologue for a singular purpose that meant everything to me. Too simple, or to simply have a peaceful, quiet dialogue. I was scared at the time, but past that edge, negativity wouldn't consume me anymore. After a simple action, I will be nevermore. I give out a sigh that leads to a thought that gives me pause. A singular moment to consider the weight of my monologue. A moment is enough to give me pause, a pause that has allowed me to consider this alluring lull. Such a beautiful void of will. And this comfort is enough to travel anew, out with this old map that has envisioned me to this edge. It is unknown when I'll return to this site, but next time I inspire to return with open arms to take one final flight.
So this one is about a friend I had who passed away in March, and it's called To Bury a Friend. The ones who read his obituary were the ones who kicked him out and didn't call him by his true name. To bury a friend is to bury the part of your heart that thinks he's there. To bury a friend is to forget sometimes, but hear his name in the air. It comes in waves and flashes, it seems to linger on and on. It makes you forget sometimes, believing he's not gone. To bury a friend means to find comfort within his memory, to emphasize the smallest details until at every waking moment you remember who he was and what he could have been. To bury a friend is to bury with tears and shaky hands. To bury a friend is so complicated to understand, to comprehend his end and carry on with life yourself, the same way you would have if he was still there himself. But the gap is so noticeable and deeper than the pits of hell, so hard to find faith within that empty shell of life that was lost too soon. The best we can do is gather together and somberly dressed, pray that death's horse has found him, and gently put him to rest. Thank you.
I don't know if it was the snow this weekend or the fact that I have teenagers at home, but I'll start with one called Hibernation as a Personality Trait. This? We only have time for one. Okay. Hibernation as a personality trait. After years and years and years, I fell asleep unintentionally in the middle of a windswept day. When I woke, I didn't know where I was or even who. And oh, I was happy. the archaic delight of rising out of buried dreams into the whistling of young elms. The old rambling brown bear smells the thaw, overturns earth to find what sustains after years and years and years. Thank you.
Okay, I was hoping to write half a poem, but instead I wrote something that needs to be completely redone. So at least I completed something, but I did it just now. So anyways, everyone remembers Plato's slogan that necessity is the mother of invention. But almost no one forgets Aristotle's rebuttal that if necessity is the mother of invention, then why is it we only see the flowering of the arts and sciences once every material need is met? And that's the theme of this poem. Necessity. If necessity is the mother of invention, what could be her intention to raise her kids that way when all our ideas and their kids grow up as wards of the state? Is that then Planned Parenthood? With technology and ritual satanic abuse, we cannot even court disaster if we were only looking for an excuse. And even still, we confuse the means of progress where their excess and misuse. Never mind whether the result is good or bad, but only that there was no choice. And if there was no choice, is that really something we want to give credit to? Where everything and anything contribute nothing but their own inevitability, does each Nobel Prize leave us saying, why oh why? I have no idea what I did. Not unlike we do with our kids. What can I say when 1,000 shades of gray, once overlaid, still add up to black and white? Under this accounting, there can be nothing to distinguish day from night. Aren't both just as necessary? If invention is to be an intention, it must be counter to the fact. This singular act cannot detract from what needed to be, because if in fact it was a choice, it certainly was not one for you and me. But I guess it was what it needed to be. Necessity is the one for me. I didn't have a choice, and if I did, I'd account for it and relinquish any voice as something impossible. Necessity is a crack whore of motivation, leaving you just as empty as the last time. Blind compulsion is never a reason to do anything, just as the ravings of an addict do not constitute folk wisdom, no matter how many of these folk there may be. Creation is supposed to be the product of free choice, but Plato seemed to think it required slavery, just as we are all saying we are just all lazy, like the Southern masters of their charges did. If necessity is all that drives you, all you will feel is futility. All that is truly necessary is death. But is it really? Necessity can only motivate when what threatens to take is anything but. Necessity can only breed the need to need and nothing else. If need itself is what we are dependent on, its satisfaction can only be itself. Necessity is never necessary because nothing ever is, and whatever forces you to think makes you think much less. Necessity, get off the sauce and be a better mother to your kids. That.
I have one piece for you, which I started out writing as a prose, but when I discussed it with Kat, she thought it fits in with poetry. It's called The Rejection Letter. They say you need a thick skin when you submit your creative work for publishing. You keep hoping they publish it, and after waiting and waiting, you get the thank you, but no thank you letter. You look at it from different angles and feel the diverse feelings that come up with it, and you wonder if you have a mental disorder because there's so many people inside your head having a ball discussing the rejection letter. The self-critic. I told you not to send your work in. It's just not good enough. But do you ever listen? The compassionate monk. They didn't publish it, and it hurts. I feel your pain. I know it will ease as time goes on. Let it go. The ego-centered donkey, and you know there's another name for donkeys. Who do they think they are? They don't know what they're missing. One day they will realize who I am, and they will be sorry. The hurt child after throwing a fit. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. I'm gonna get Grandpa to beat you up with his walking stick, you stupid snob. Who do you think you are? The driven artist. Next time, I polish it a bit more and make sure I send it to the right market and study the market better and see where my work fits. The victim. Nobody likes what I do. I am doomed. I am ugly and fat. Look at those wrinkles. I'm done with this. The champion. I just need more practice. If I keep working hard, at least 5 hours a day, I will win awards in a few years. The avoider. Let's have a few drinks, a little weed, 2 painkillers, a bucket of ice cream, and nothing will matter anymore. The forever optimist. I know my success is on the way. I can feel it coming. I can see it in everything I look at. I can taste it. The realist. Another no is getting closer to a yes. And they keep talking and talking and discussing the rejection letter. You better let them talk it out. I'd like to say many thanks to Steve and the staff at the Owl for their awesome venue and excellent service. Thanks to Ryan from Shaw Spotlight for recording, editing our event, for broadcasting it and posting it on YouTube. Thank you to Stacy and Carrie Oler for sponsoring us this month. Thank you all poets for participating and our audiences here at the Owl. And we had a few people, and they didn't fall asleep. Thank you to our Shaw audiences for watching our program on YouTube and on the Shaw channel. See you all on Wednesday, November the 23rd. You will find information about our open mics on our Facebook page, Tell It Like It Is Poets, by going to our events tab. Anyone who has read their poems here at the event is welcome to join our insider group, Owl Poets, on Facebook. Future dates are December 28th, January 25th, February 22nd, and March 22nd.